Okay, jumping into the next one. All right. So that's my dog over there. He wants some attention, but it's just not going to happen right now. Okay, so off-duty EMT helps Zaxby's manager shot in Cordova carjacking attempt. Sad to hear. Okay. Well, good and bad, but a manager at Zaxby's in Cordova was shot during an attempted carjacking outside the restaurant Sunday night, Shelby County deputies say. The victim drove to a bar across the street where first responders used belts to apply two tourniquets to his legs. Authorities say the worker was closing up the restaurant at 1180 North Houston Levee at Macon around 11 p.m. He had just set the store alarm and had started his Dodge Challenger in the parking lot by remote. When he got in his car, another Dodge Challenger circled the parking lot with the lights off, then parked behind the victim's car. The victim said a male with an AR pistol got out and banged on his window, telling him to get out of the car. When the victim opened up his door, the suspect fired 7 to 10 shots at him, then ran back to his own car and got away, leaving the victim bleeding. It's crazy. The victim began screaming for help, then drove to a bar across the street, hitting curbs along the way. Patrons at the local bar came outside to help. An off-duty EMT and Memphis firefighter applied pressure to the victim's wounds and called for 911. I had just got off work, so I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to relax, the EMT told WREG. He was good. He was cognitive, so we kept him talking. God makes no mistakes. It was the right people at the right time. He had been shot once, and the bullet penetrated both legs. They collected 6 pistol casings, 6 rifle casings, and 1 bullet from the scene. WREG is reaching out to Zaxby's for comment. It makes no sense that that is a carjacking. Well, for one, please, everybody, you have to have, I don't want to blame this guy for moving the way that he does, but you have to have situational awareness. If you're, and I'm sure he's done it 100,000 times, closed the store, set the alarm, got in the car, started it remotely. And I don't know, I'm guessing he just sat there because if a Dodge Challenger, another vehicle drove around the parking lot with the lights off, parked behind him, the guy had time to get out and bang on the window without you pulling off already. I don't know if he was aware of what was happening behind him or not or what, but I would have pulled off. Make no mistake about it. As soon as I saw another car in the parking lot at 11 p.m., and it's just our cars, the car would have been in drive, foot would have been on the gas, and I would have been there going down Germantown Road. You know, situational awareness. There's a lot of issues with that story also, closing alone, in the parking lot alone, that time of night. You don't know what's going on, around you as far as it being dark outside and not having a cognitive awareness of kind of what's happening on the other side of the building. You just can't see that, and you can't predict that. All you can do is go from point A to point B as quick as possible. You don't have to be as quick as possible. Just walk to your car, get in the car, put the car in drive, and drive off. Because you never know what people are out here doing and what they're thinking. Get to your destination. He may have been on the phone or anything, though, and felt that he was safe. Then on the other side of that, obviously, someone, whether they were trying to steal his car, whether or not they were trying to get a lick. I said in a previous stream, I believe it was yesterday, a lot of times when folks have guns, it's because they're scared. Or when they're grabbing their gun, it's because they're scared. A lot of people don't deal with guns in well, one, a responsible manner, but well, obviously this was a totally different situation because they had something nefarious in mind to begin with. But shoot and then jump in the car and leave almost seems like they were targeting that person for whatever reason. And I hope that wasn't the case, but in either event, you definitely have to be careful. There needs to be things in place for the kids. If these were grown people doing it, I don't know how you stop that type of thing from happening. But, you know, I could think of a few different things from a governmental standpoint of what could happen. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, targeting cars and pulling them over. It could be, obviously, if they're stealing the car, what are they doing with the car when they steal it? Where are they taking it to? Are they shaving the VIN number off and just driving it, or trying to make it look like a legitimate car after that? Then you go after the people that do that business, help make it a legitimate car. Is it that they go and they break it down for parts to be able to sell? Then you go after whatever shops you know, or that's what you have to key in on and figure out, you know, who's doing what and do something about it. And when you stop the money from these types of things from being able to change hands, that's when you're able to start seeing results on certain levels. Now, it may be out of town, but if a car is reported stolen, I mean, immediately getting back and figuring out where that car is, where it went. We have all these light cameras that are being used. You know where a car is going from point A to point B, more likely than not. And I understand that they're sending out this thing about door cameras and the rest of that stuff. You know, I don't know how, you know, it's a good idea. It's a tool that can be used. They put it out. Whoever wants to subscribe and be a part of that effort, you know, I don't blame you. I get it. But at the same time, I guess it does take citizen intervention also. But I bet you if they had a presence out there in Cordova, I bet you if we had a presence out in Cordova, a lot of this wouldn't be going on. If I constantly saw police officers going up and down Germantown, you know, parked somewhere, so on and so forth. So when shots rang out, there were people out there already able to respond immediately, then a lot of this would go down as well. So there's a lot of different areas that could be looked at in order to get this reeled in. But I'm glad that the individual that was victimized in this story, or the manager at Zaxby's, who was also the manager at Zaxby's, I'm glad that he was able to get across the street, get whatever help he needed. I'm assuming that he's in good health right now, today. And also good on the Memphis firefighter and the EMT that helped in this situation. They should be receiving something, because they may have just been in the right place at the right time. But I tell you what, they for sure didn't say their names in this article. And that may have been because the EMT or the firefighter said that they didn't want their names in the article. But I think that their names, at the very least, should be made known to the public, so we know that people are out here actually doing a good thing, and someone can say, hey, thank you, other than the person that they saved. Like I said, it's a village. It's a community. Everybody is working in concert together, you know, and it's stories like this where people are helping gives you a little bit more hope today and going forward into the future. All right, so this was a story that came out, and this was actually a little bit older. So ABC 24 is taking a look at Mayor Paul Young's first 6 months in office and are asking what the Memphians think. So yeah, this came out on July 1st, but let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what's what. Wow, this is a long ad. Yeah, so I think that electing a new mayor and somebody that a lot of people can relate to, and especially young people, is important, and it's good. I send congratulations out to Mayor Paul Young. Let's take a look.
Tonight, we're looking back over Mayor Paul Young's first 6 months in office and asking Memphians what they think of the mayor's progress halfway through his first half year in office. Dr. Earl Fisher, pastor of Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church, says he appreciates Mayor Young taking on hard topics such as public safety and pushing for the first property tax increase investment in 12 years. However, Dr. Fisher says he'd like to see Mayor Young be more innovative when it comes to issues of public safety and equity and more vocal about the state's gun laws.
We need to continue to push him to make him be the progressive mayor that I believe we need. I think his natural posture is to be a much more moderate mayor than I would prefer. But that doesn't mean that there's no value in what he's presented up to this point. But I think it's going to take the collective effort from all of the community stakeholders.
Dr. Fisher would also like to see the mayor direct more money towards nonprofits working in Memphis's low-income areas.
Yeah. Great story. And now they didn't really say much about his first 6 months in office. I think right now we're getting into the point in time where, obviously the budget was passed. There was a lot of work that needed to be done leading up to this budget to actually nail down what type of increase in property taxes and obviously the other taxes that we've spoke about in previous streams. Obviously you have to nail down the amounts of those increases and then also allocate the money to the appropriate places. Actually, today is the next Memphis City council meeting, and so we'll be taking a look at that probably tomorrow. There's committee meetings, and if there's a committee meeting that makes sense for us to watch, I'll make sure to throw that on also and break it down or see what information is provided inside those individual committee meetings. So yeah, I think that Mayor Paul Young, obviously his first 6 months, there's a transition acclimation period that is necessary, and I feel like he's done that transition fairly well, getting the people that he wants to have in place, navigating some of the more choppy things as far as the Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis. Obviously, he knew that appointment wouldn't go through City Council, so he chose to name her as a interim police chief to give her extra time to be able to continue to work, do her work, and produce results out in the streets. Bring in new officers and some of the other objectives that she's trying to reach. But I think overall, first 6 months is kind of hard to tell what everything's going to be. After about a year, I fully expect Mayor Paul Young to have certain things that we can key in on and be able to grade one way or the other. But I feel like he is definitely a good choice from what I've seen so far. I feel like he's even, and I feel like he is progressive. He's looking toward, the expansion of Memphis and bringing in new businesses, looking at public safety, and so on and so forth. And those are kind of the two biggest things, the two biggest issues that Memphis is facing right now is the public safety and the jobs that are available and the businesses that are in the area. Public safety is probably the biggest because that affects tourism, that affects businesses leaving the city, coming into the city. And in my mind, it's probably at a point now where it's better to be more heavy-handed, but obviously we will see what will happen in months to come. So, hey, good on Mayor Paul Young. All right, so yeah, I found this story, and I think that I think honestly, let's see what it has to say. Low-income Memphians now have two options for legal aid. With similar services, MALS, WTLS, name new leaders, plan for future serving more people. All right. After losing its largest funder, Memphis Area Legal Services has named a new CEO who says the organization will continue to provide the same legal services to low-income Memphians it has for years. Meanwhile, West Tennessee Legal Services has begun offering similar services in the city, using the funding MALS lost. The Jackson-based organization has named a Memphis-based deputy director and has begun hiring dozens of local employees. Both organizations are in transition, with one learning to operate with less funding and new leadership, and the other finalizing an office lease and learning a new community. However, they're both hopeful the changes ultimately will lead to better legal aid for Memphis' most vulnerable residents. I believe that there is a place for both Memphis Area Legal Services and West Tennessee Legal Services moving forward, said new MALS CEO Nicole Grida. We can actually end up serving more people. I don't see it as a us versus them. I see it as a way for ultimately the citizens of Shelby, Tipton, Fayette, and Lauderdale counties to receive more services. All right. Cool. Earlier this year, Legal Service Corp, a nonprofit funded and overseen by Congress, decided to stop funding MALS and send its funds tied to Shelby, Tipton, Fayette, and Lauderdale counties to WTLS. At the time, LSC, which is Legal Services Corporation, President Ron Flagg told MLK 50 that MALS had been providing inadequate service to low-income Memphians for years. It was a huge blow to MALS, which provided free civil legal services to almost 2,600 low-income adults in 2023. At more than $1.7 million per year, LSC funding made up about 40% of MALS 2023 budget. Grida, and this is Miss Grida here, Nicole Grida, though she said she's confident MALS services to Memphians will improve, not dissipate, under her leadership. She plans on making the organization more efficient, building new partnerships, and employing new technology. We're still here, she said. We're still available to take clients' cases, and we're committed to providing legal excellence and advocating for them and their needs. Grida has been an attorney in Memphis since 2006, working for insurance firms, law firms, and international paper. She has served on the board of directors for the Tennessee Alliance for Legal Services since 2019 and sat on the MALS board for the 9 months before her hire. She said finding new funding and solidifying existing grants will be her top initial priority. MALS recently submitted an application to LSC asking the federal funder to restore the cash MALS has long counted on starting in 2025. However, WTLS has also applied for the 2025 LSC funding tied to Shelby, Tipton, Fayette, and Lauderdale counties, and is operating in hopes it will hold on to the huge grant. We feel confident that we're going to establish ourselves in the community and show that the quality of services we provide is needed in this community, said Ashley Holiday, WTLS, remember that's Western Tennessee Legal Services Executive Director. By the end of the year, Holiday plans to hire around 20 new employees to serve Shelby and its neighboring counties, most of whom, she says, she hopes, will be existing Shelby County residents. Eventually, she expects the Memphis office to grow as large as the organization's Jackson office. We're not going to do this from Jackson, she said. We have no intention to provide services remotely. While in the midst of hiring, Holiday said area residents may have to bear with the organization a bit. However, she said the organization's hotline, 901-471-8006, is staffed and ready to go, and that her team prides itself on its responsiveness. Anyone who calls them, she said, will receive a call back. When it makes sense, Holiday said her team will refer clients to MALS. However, she says she doesn't yet have a good sense of the scope of services MALS will still be able to provide with its reduced funding. I don't have a good picture of what they're offering, she said. Holiday said her organization and MALS are caught in a unique situation as they compete for LSC funding and provide similar services. LSC rarely cuts partner organizations' funding. That's a big statement. And Holiday didn't even know MALS might lose the grant until earlier this year when LSC asked her if she'd be interested in receiving it. Like Greta, she's hopeful the two organizations will be able to work together well to serve Memphis. We see this as long-term. We're committed to the community. Wow. Before I say anything at all. All right, so it says low on funds and need free legal help. So now both MALS and WTLS now offer a variety of free legal services to Memphians living under or near the poverty line. To request help, they give a telephone number from MALS, call 901-523-8822. And to receive help from WTLS, 901-471-8006, or visit the WTLS.org. And some examples of legal issues they may be able to help with is benefits, supplemental security income, SSI, TennCare, Medicaid, unemployment compensation, veterans benefits, food stamps, housing, protection from corporations, elder law, family law. Yeah. It's good that the services are available. This seems like an infight or more of an issue between organization that was based out of Memphis and Saul, and Memphis was their primary customer. But they can't. How do you get mad because somebody took your funding if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do at that point in time? Obviously, if they've inserted a new CEO, something wasn't happening the way that it was supposed to. So I'm glad that they, ultimately selected a new CEO Maybe they can get their funding back. I don't know how that's going to necessarily affect Memphis. So obviously, if there is a new service, first of all, I'm glad that this service is available. That's good news. When the majority of this, reading this, I was unaware that there was a legal services organization that was available to low income people. And, obviously it's important. The information definitely needs to get out there because things like supplemental, the SSI, 10-care, Medicaid, unemployment, veteran benefits, food stamps. I mean, all of that stuff is important. Even, housing, unfair treatment from landlords, Section 8 vouchers, foreclosures, mortgage default, housing discrimination, wrongful evictions. People need to know that that's there and available. Now, the amount of time that it takes WTLS to get up, running, and people know that they're there and exist and they'll help, that should be interesting. It's something to keep an eye on. But it's good that the services are there. You learn so many things, new things that you didn't know existed before. I don't even know where you go necessarily to get this information if you aren't actively reading the news. I don't know if there's a site that necessarily has all the things that are available to people that are in need. All the things that are available in the community. Like I spoke about before with, children being involved in activities and things of that sort, or organizations that speak directly to our youth. I don't know where you go get that information. I'll research that a little bit. I'm glad to hear about this. This is something now known, can be, relayed, spoke on, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on with the MALS and WTLS stories. So, but it's a good thing. That was the main deal. I am glad to know that we have options out there. When you feel like you don't have options, there just might be something that will get you through. All right. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining and being a part of the community. Please like, comment, subscribe to the videos. I know that this is I'm still brand new and I'm developing, but things are getting a little bit better. So please continue to support. I'd love to hear your voices. If you can comment, I would greatly appreciate it. You can reach me directly at directionforwardmemphis@gmail.com. Anytime, I will respond, and look forward to doing this again next time. All right. Hey, have a great one.